All right. Building a repeatable LinkedIn content strategy. The reason why I want to talk about this is I've actually spent the last 4 years building in public. And man, there's been a lot of misfires where I would start off at a real high point in 1 month, and sort of like keep, doing what I was doing, like posting content, and then like immediately just drop off. And then what would happen oftentimes is I wouldn't know what am I even doing. I would have like one post idea, I would post that, people give comments and like likes and stuff like that. Feels good. But then the second time around, you're like, I don't know what to write about. Third time around, I don't know what to write about. And over time, what I learned is like what I don't have is a content strategy. Strategy is like, basically a one pager or something that you have in your head of like, hey, this is why I'm creating content and this is who it's for and this is what I'm going to talk about. So I think like if I had that system, I would have been much more successful like 3 years ago. And so my hope for you guys is I want to like share all the lessons learned in the last 3 years, so that I can save you that time. And so you can like get started with the learnings today versus having to wait 3 months, 3 years, and like learn that on your own. So if you don't know me, my name is Suk. I'm the CEO of Engyne.ai. Engyne is a software that I'm building to help people build personal brands. So very much in the same LinkedIn strategy kind of space here as well. And I've been a full stack engineer, so that's my background, IBM, Apple, Stack, Swift. But really, I think like with the way the world is going with AI and like layoffs and stuff like that, I think more and more people are going to need to have an audience, are going to need to have some sort of a personal branding, a following. If you want to get, not only if you want to get a job, but if you want to start something on your own, if you want to do anything entrepreneurial, you need to have a group of people that trust you, and that's the big part, which is if they trust you, they'll buy from you. Most people just jump to, okay, how do I get somebody, a stranger to buy from me? And that's not the right question. All right, let's get going. So, like I mentioned, I worked as an engineer. It's not like I'm a career marketer. I just started learning this stuff a couple of years ago. My big thing is like, so I've shipped 36 products in the last 8 years. And the number one thing I've always learned is, I can build stuff and you presumably can as well. And you have built a bunch of stuff. But the harder part is how do you sell it? So the marketing piece. The good thing about LinkedIn is it becomes both your marketing, and your personal branding, sort of a vehicle at the same time. I shipped 20, when I shipped 28 products, I had made zero sales. All my sales came from the last 3 4 years since I started doing LinkedIn. And because of that, I sold a company, and that was last year. And so, yeah, last year I was actually like going super hard on LinkedIn, and I credit all of my success to building in public. Um, there's a paddle launchpad program which is sponsored by or run by paddle.com. It's like a Stripe competitor over in the UK, and they had AI builders from I think 120 countries. And I was in top 10. Sorry, there was 120 people from like a bunch of different countries, and I was in the top 10. And I got into Techstars. If you don't know about like raising money, Techstars is an accelerator, and basically no accelerator will take you if you're a solo founder. I learned that the hard way, but because I was able to build in public and kind of show the go-to-market advantage that I have, I was able to get in. And the last thing is I was building like an SEO software last year, and all of my customers came from building in public. In fact, not only have I been writing myself, but I've been helping other people write as well. So there's this person who's like, hey, you were literally the person where I started posting every day, been doing it consistently, and he was able to get a job offer. Harsh, he's my friend from X, and same thing. He was, he's been seeing me build online, and that builds a lot of positivity. And another person, it's a great reminder that like people are reading, they might not always engage. So like they might message you in the DMs. Um, so the stuff that I'm going to talk about isn't like actually LinkedIn specific. It's actually specific to like how you think about creating content in general. So this is like a Slack community of, I want to say like 40, 50K salespeople. And Mike is the head of community. And one of the posts I wrote, he was like, man, this is amazing. Like, more people should be writing like this. And so And then I had a Reddit post as well that had 1,000 upvotes, and that's all because I'm using the same formula but just on different platforms. So the stuff I'm going to talk about is like actually can be used in other platforms, but today we're going to talk specifically about LinkedIn. So we're going to talk about like how to build an identity for yourself, because I think most of the time we forget who we are and all we want to do is talk about like the post idea. And so a good content strategy stems from identity. And we're going to talk about like how to come up with like unlimited ideas, because you don't want to be in a spot where you have to come up with an idea every morning and then be like, this is not that great. So how do you have like a massive list of ideas to start from? And then I have a format on how to write a good post. And if you just follow that format, you'll be successful. What I want to do for you right now with this workshop is there's like a many different ways of winning. And I want to just tell you the one way. I think if you follow that strategy, you'll be successful. And like I've been using that for the last 3 or 4 years, and a lot of other people have been doing the same thing. So you don't need to like invent something new or like think about, hey, should I do a rage bait post today or should I do this kind of post today? If you follow this system, you'll be fine. And at the end, I'm going to share like there's a couple of ways we can work together if you want to do that. So I'll share what that is. All right. I'm assuming I want to maybe like a +1 in the chat. Like how many of you guys like do content writing this way, which is like you think of an idea in the morning and you write it out. You kind of get frustrated because like you're like I don't think it sounds like prolific enough. I don't think it sounds awesome enough. I'm gonna go to ChatGPT, and then you keep prompting, and then after like 5, 10, 15 minutes you come up with something and you're like, well, it's good enough, and then like either you posted it or you just get frustrated and kind of like move on. Is this something that that sounds familiar? Not all the time. Happens sometimes, but not all the times, for sure. It used to happen to me all the time. I actually more struggle with coming up with ideas. Great. Yeah, that's a great one too. So if you don't have any ideas and like you can't move past to like writing out a post as well. So it stems from like having limited ideas, and then like having the frustration of like, okay, what do I write about? Because this is the only idea I have. Does that make sense? Let's talk about it. So here's a system that I followed that I like highly believe in, which is giving extreme value. In fact, to the point where somebody says, man, I can't believe that like what he's telling me is he's telling it to me for free. Like I should be charging for that. That's the kind of level that you want to be at. And that's if you have that kind of framing, then you don't have to think about, okay, how do I put my like sales message in there? How do I make it so like people like buy my product? Because if you come in with that framing, people can smell that a mile away. But if you come in with like, I want to give people value that they're paying other people for free, man, that's just like a very strong lens to start off from. Okay, number one thing that you need to do this for yourself is build your backstory. Do you guys know who this is in the chat? They just Alex Ramosi, 100%. That's Alex Ramosi. Do we know Alex Ramosi's like backstory? Because he literally says that everywhere. So he says this thing. He says not verbatim, but like paraphrase. But he used to have a gym. He eventually started teaching other gyms how to get customers, and now he helps businesses under 5 million in revenue for free. That's his backstory. I have said this exact same sentence to somebody else who doesn't know about Alex Ramosi. That's his backstory. And he says this everywhere. Everywhere you go, that is the thing that if you open up his book, literally that's his like the first couple of chapters are on that. If you watch his videos, he literally says, hey, I just want to help businesses under 5 million revenue. And he says it over and over and over and over again. Do we know this one? If you know Alex Ramosi, you should know Gary Vee as well. But he also has the similar, exactly. He has a similar backstory as well, which is he used to be a young boy selling baseball cards, and then eventually got into wine. Sold that at 60 million, and now he helps like other entrepreneurs as well. That's his backstory. Even if you haven't heard like all of this stuff, you know that the wine business is like is something that's like when you think about wine businesses, he's the first person that comes up. If you like, he does things like going to garage sales and like flipping stuff at garage sales as well. But this is a backstory that it like all the stuff that he does like stems from. The reason why this is really, really important to have is because you want to have a way for somebody in the wild that trusts you to pass off your name to somebody else, right? And that's what Alex has done. That's what Gary Vee has done. If you look at anybody that's like like influencer, or like anybody who has any kind of influence, it doesn't have to be an influencer like a Instagram influencer or whatever. Anybody who has influence, they have a backstory. This is mine. So I'm the guy that grew up in India and I moved to Canada and I built 36 products in the last 8 years. That's my backstory. And now I help with like personal branding. So if somebody was to like find me in the wild, that's what they would tell to their friend. And I've actually like tested out different kinds of backstories for myself and like landed on this one. The reason I was able to land on this one is because if I go to, so I'm going to show you, like if I go to x.com, literally my pinned post is that. So this was a couple of years ago, and I wrote down like what each of the products were that I built out, and like why they were successful, why they weren't. But I wanted that to be my backstory. I tried another one, which was coming from India to like Canada and like work in IBM. That was another one I tried. When I mean tried, I mean like I literally posted content about that, and I just like saw what people resonated most with. And the way I see that is like when people like say that back to me. So whenever I did like podcasts afterwards, so I've been doing podcasts for the last year, you'll see like one of the questions that they always ask about. So these are like I've done like 4 or 5 podcasts now, but they always talk about, especially this one, they always talk about like building 31 products, 32 products, whatever. But that's been my sort of like story. And you should have one of your own. The way to think about it is, how do you get somebody that's in the wild to pass off your name to their other friend to get them excited about you? That's how you want to think about it. Um, an easy formula to use this or to build this out for yourself is this one. I started off as You started off some way. Maybe you grew up somewhere. Maybe you did work somewhere. And eventually I did, and there's got to be something impressive that you did. It doesn't have to be, I went to like Oxford or whatever, like Stanford or whatever. But it's got to be impressive. Something when I hear it, I'm like, oh, that's really cool. And then you end it off with like, he now helps others, or I now help others do XYZ. So that's like what you're doing today. But if you use this formula, it gives you like your base backstory, and then what you want to do is just basically repeat it as much as possible to different people to see like do they understand that that's impressive, and do they feel that, oh my god, like this guy's amazing because of his backstory. And the thing with backstories, by the way, is everybody's backstory is different. And so yours is going to be different from mine, even if we come from the same sort of area, even if we do the same thing. One or like all of these different, all of these like blanks are going to be different, and that's what makes it. That's what makes you unique. So you want to make sure that you have an identity and frame it this way. What I want, what I want to stress here is don't be original. Um, Good marketers, what they do is they repeat the same thing a million times. They don't come up with a million different things to say. They say the same thing a million different times. Alex Hermosi says the same sales stuff that there's like a bazillion other YouTubers or like salespeople will say, but he says it over and over again, just in different ways. The books even he has, like the education is awesome, but it's not something that's like been like super original, and that's kind of the point. He's taken the same sort of concept but said it in a different way. So you don't want to be original. Start off with this formula, put this together, and in fact, like put it everywhere where you have a bio. So if you look at my bio, you'll see like I actually say 36 products in the last 8 years, and like sharing lessons, whatever. Like that's my backstory, so I put that there. You want to like put that everywhere so that people start knowing you for that impressive thing that you did. and then like they know what you're doing now, or how you can help them now. Okay. Any questions on just like coming up with a backstory? Okay. Going once, going twice, going three times. All right. Thank you. My backstory is solid. Um, so your weekly content strategy. So um, this is where a lot of people struggle, which is, hey, what do I talk about? And generally it's like, what idea do I talk about? And they'll think about, okay, I'm gonna like, go on a walk and like think of a couple ideas there. I'm gonna like take it, like think of ideas from like day-to-day work that I do. And that's great. Actually, that works solid. um but there needs to be a guiding principle of like what you're gonna talk about daily or weekly, so that people know that you're talking like that you're owning that niche, that you're owning that subject. um, the way I like to do it is I will give you three frameworks for coming up with these ideas. The first one is personal journey. And I like to do this is because you want to like people want to talk to people, and especially now even more so. So you want to start off with like one part of your content strategy, and there's three parts. First one should be about you. So teaching people or like explaining to people who you are and what you believe in as a person. And the main message that you want to send across is like that you're not a robot, because before there used to be bots, now there's AI accounts. You want to make sure that people know that you're a real person behind these thoughts. And people want to work with like actual people, impressive people. And so you want to like talk about your personal journey, how you got here, what were you doing before, why did you, why do you believe in this thing over that thing, that kind of stuff. And the framework I like to use to like come up with a lot of ideas for this thing specifically is this one called, this is from Sean Puri. It's called first, last, best, worst. Basically, you want to sit down and think about your first, best, last, worst job, maybe a meltdown that you had, achievement that you got, a sales call that you did, your first like meeting with a developer, how you found your first love. Any one of these things is a great place to start off with those stories. And for every like for a job, you have like basically four stories ready to go, and you're only going to post three times a week or four times, five times a week. So even if you take two of these, you'll have enough stories to cover the week. So this is a great, and then just have different additions to the end. So like I mentioned, like first job is a great one. Boss, like your best boss, your best professor, like all those are stories that you already have in your head, and this is the fastest way to get them out onto the paper. So sit down, do this exercise, and I'm sure you'll have like a million ideas to go off of. The second one is building public. And building in public is, well, the first thing is like, as you're building whatever you're building on the side, whether it's like you're working for a company or you're working on your own, or you're like doing like you're building a vibe coding project, or even like writing a Notion doc, any and all, maybe you're selling cookies on the street, any and all of these things, you're making really crucial decisions, and you're figuring out if those decisions panned out or not. For example, if I put up a lemonade stand, should I use this sugar or that sugar? Like that's a decision that I make. And more and more, if you share those decisions in public, what that will do is, one, bring you more customers, because they see that you're like doing stuff, like progress is being made, right? Um, sorry, so that's for new customers. But like the existing customers, they see that like the product is getting better, and they're gonna start telling other people about it. Or like if they leave a comment there, then like other people in their network see that as well. And the third point is actually the biggest one that not a lot of people think about, is you get to meet your peers. So I'm a founder, and I build products, but like I don't know many founders. But if I start sharing the things that I'm learning, so people that are maybe a year ahead, 2 years ahead are like, hey, like that's the exact position I was in. Let me come and help you. Or people that are like a year or 2 years behind you, they're like, man, this is awesome. Like you just saved me a year's worth, like going down that wrong direction. So there's a lot of value that stems from you just sharing what you're doing today and what you're learning. And again, the whole point of like this strategy is extreme value. So if you can save people time by sharing what you're learning, it's like very, very valuable. So building in public. It doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be revolving around code. So that's a common misconception that, oh, I don't write code, so like how am I going to share like what I'm building? You don't have to. Building in public is mostly like sharing what you're learning, and in a way that helps other people that are behind you or maybe ahead of you, but you get to connect with peers. So I think about these 5 prompts whenever I'm like thinking about, okay, what do I write about for building in public? So what did you publish, launch, or test this week, right? This is an easy one. You're doing stuff. You probably did a launch or did publish, you put out a feature, or you thought about a feature, put that out there. How you think about it. Why did you build it in the first place? What were the decisions that you made, like UI decisions, whatever? How did you design it? Why did you design it this way versus that way? Those are all good things to talk about here. What surprised you the most this week? What's one thing that you unlearned? This is a big one. So if I usually I would think, okay, having a trial offer for your product is good, but I'm like, nah, I don't think like we should do trials anymore. Explaining why I think that, like, that's really useful. What's one thing you're overthinking this week? Like, this is an easy way to like psych yourself out of um doing the work that you want to do, but you haven't been able to do. So, hey, I've been like slacking on this kind of thing, and this is the reason why it's important. This is why I think I'm stuck. I don't know if this is the right way of going down about it. I don't know if I should spend money on it. If you write those stuff, somebody who's like a year ahead of you already has seen this 100 times, and they can like come in and like help you psych you out of the state that you're in right now. And then the last one, and this is the biggest one, which is what's been the hardest part of this week so far? Presumably, there's multiple things, multiple hard things that you're doing. And so talking about that. But if you have these 5 prompts, you should have no problem coming up with building public ideas every week. The last one is where the money is. So customer pain points. And when I say customers, if you have a product, obviously that's a customer that you're talking to. But if you're somebody who's just building a personal brand for yourself, you have somebody on the other side that you're thinking would find value in your content. So you can replace a customer with that person, like a target audience. So if you're a student, then like maybe you're talking to other students. If you're a somebody who's an employee, like working at a company, then you're presumably talking to other people that are at other companies in the same role. But you want to like think about the pains and the fires they're seeing by putting yourself in those shoes. What I mean here is if I am helping founders do personal branding, which we're doing right now, I know that coming up with ideas is the hardest thing. That's the biggest fire. So I know that that's an issue. So I'm going to write out a bullet point for that. Maybe another bullet point is like I'm writing content, but I'm not getting any followers. That's a problem that I have that my customer has. So I'm going to write a bullet point about that, and I'll just like write down 10, 20, 30 bullet points, and then each one of them becomes a topic for me to talk about. Either I can talk about it from my own experience, or I can say, hey, I did a bunch of research on YouTube, and this is the way I think if you don't have any ideas, this is how you come up with ideas. So you want to talk about directly about customer pain points in the third bucket. If you do, actually, I have an easy way to come up with like the pain points. If you can't think of them, I would recommend the number one thing to do actually is to talk to those people. So if you have an idea, sorry, a target audience in mind, just go talk to them and be like, hey, can you tell me like, what are the issues that you're facing day to day? And then most people will spill everything that they're going through, right? And that's like the true source of getting these, fears, myths, whatever pain points. But if you want to just make it a little bit easier for yourself, just go to ChatGPT, put this prompt in, and it'll just give you a massive list. And then your job becomes creating a post for each of those points in the bullet points that it gives you. Now, you don't have to, this is your complete content strategy. I've tested this multiple times. I've shared this with other founders and they've implemented this successfully as well. So rest be assured that this strategy is tried and tested. So you don't have to worry about, okay, like, I'm doing too much build in public. I got to switch it up. You don't have to. If you just keep doing these three, one, nobody is going to notice that that's the bucket that you're using because yeah, nobody like really like thinks about that way. But when we're like a content creator, it feels like we're saying the same thing over and over again. But that's not true. Audience on the other side isn't thinking that. They're just thinking that, oh, X person is posting content and it's good content. That's it. And they go about their day. But yeah, stick to these buckets. This will be the fastest way for you to get peers. It's the fastest way for you to build trust, and it's the fastest way to get customers if you're like building a business. Repeat this every week. Most people will not do this. If you've seen my products, my content strategy, it's actually these three over and over again. That's all I do. I haven't done anything else. I don't talk about current events. I don't talk about rage baiting. I just only talk about these three things over and over again. And I've said the same thing, same backstory, same frameworks 100 times. And so it's the same message, but like said in a different way. So if you've been presumably you've seen my content strategy and like my content on LinkedIn. That's why you're in this workshop in the first place. This is all I do. This is the stuff behind the curtain. So you want to repeat this every week, and that's it. Questions before I move on to like how to write a good post. Which format drives better engagement for storytelling based on short form video or written posts? It's a great question. I have two thoughts there. One is you actually don't want to like think about or like look at engagement too much. As long as like your follower numbers is going up or like impression numbers is going up, and like that's just gonna happen from you posting every day or like posting consistently. Like like engagement is fine because um and the worst thing for you to have happen to you is if you go viral. The issue with going viral is you'll have like a lot of impressions. Let's say you got like 20K impressions, for example. The second time you post, man, you're not gonna get to 20K impressions. I mean, maybe you will, but like there's like a high probability that you won't. And the minute that happens, all your motivation for like posting content is done. So you actually don't want to go viral because of that. What you want to do is slowly build up trust by creating valuable content. Now, you mentioned like specifically short form video versus like written posts. I think I'm in the camp of like I think short form video that's like actually delivering value can be really really powerful. Um, LinkedIn as a platform though, it's not giving too much reach to videos. That being said, that's totally okay because you're using the video to like deepen the trust that you have. So I think like the right strategy is kind of like maybe mixing the two, which is like you write posts to expand your like network, but then you do the video to deepen that trust. Good pointers. They just said, has your content helped you change and build a right audience? Yeah, honestly, the biggest thing is like because I've been like using this strategy specifically, people follow me for me. They don't follow me for my business, and they don't follow me for like a specific thing. So if today I start doing this, and then I start doing that tomorrow, like people will stick with me, and that's really what you want to build that 1,000 true fans. Um, yeah. So when I write content, I see people like messaging back, being like, "Yo, that was really valuable. That was really useful." So that like is what like makes me fix up my content strategy, right? I should like do more of this or like less of that. First, Matt says, if I understand this right, the content strategy focuses on writing posts. How about commenting other people's posts, reposting other strategies, expand reach? I wouldn't do reposting. I think reposting is like generally you're not adding any value. So if you're starting out, I wouldn't spend too much time reposting. Commenting on people's posts is like really, really important if you can do that. But it can't be I, amazing or like thank you or like this is a great point. It has to be like a long thing of like, hey, I love how you thought about this, but have you thought about it this way? And like, X, Y, Z. And like the reason I think this way is because like you want to actually add value that in the comment. So you have to put a lot of effort in. I find that most people when they say they want to like comment, they just want to do like great point and like whatever awesome like nobody like it doesn't add any value, so it doesn't further your point. But if you come in with your own perspective, opinion, facts, something your earned experience, like that's the where the that's when it becomes valuable. Yeah, the big nation, right? Like the 1,000 true followers, like 1,000 true. If I have 1,000 true followers and I charge them $50 a month, that's a $50,000 business a month. Like that's insane, and like you own all of it. So like if you have 1,000 followers, you don't need 1 million followers. And so like that's the right way of thinking about it. I'm new to using X for experiences. How does it compare to LinkedIn when it comes to tone? X is super fast, so like very short, writing style. It works the same way. I think like if you're, I would pick one platform rather than going both. But if you're doing both, then just like use a scheduling platform, kind of like Typefully, and then it will be able to like put the same stuff on both platforms. I've actually done like so. I was doing X all of last year. I got to from like 500 to 3,000 followers, and it's the same thing. Like if you follow this content strategy, doesn't matter what platform it is, like it will work. Okay, so I'm gonna like this is the last thing I think I want to talk about, and I think this is the most important one. So writing a great post is there's a specific format to it, and it's called Slay. So it's called Slay because it starts with personal story, okay, then a lesson, then advice, and then CTA. So this is how you want to structure your post. And I didn't come up with this format, by the way. Somebody named Lara Costa, she's like a great LinkedIn influencer. She came up with it, and I've been using it for the last year, and like it saved me so much time in like thinking about, okay, how do I even structure this kind of like post? Because if I structure it this way, it's always valuable. So what I mean by like, story, lesson, advice, your CTA is this. So you want to open up the post with a personal story of like why you believe something, or what you saw of something, or like what you read about something. So a personal story. Maybe you grew up in India and like you saw something there. Great. Start off with a personal story. Then you share a lesson from that. So what did you learn from that story? It can't just be like I visited India and like that's what happened. There's got to be some sort of lesson that you learned from there. And then once I have a lesson, then you want to give advice to people that are going to be, in that same spot. Maybe now, maybe like 10 years from now, like so you want to give advice. And the last one is a CTA, or like you want to talk directly to your audience. So like, okay, now that I've given you a lesson and action item or advice, what do you want them to do? So for example, like she says, I'm reading one book and implementing it. Are you doing the same thing? If you are, just like leave a comment, right? I find that if you stick with this format, one, it removes all ambiguity of like how do I structure my post, because you have the structure already. Number two is it forces you to add value to your post. I see a lot of posts that are like, I did this, and like, did you do this? And then that's great. It's more of a story, but it doesn't have the value in it, and the value comes from like lesson and actionable. The reason why the personal story works so great is I can't just copy her post, right? Because her personal experience is her personal experience. Her personal story is her personal story. I can't just take it. So it makes every post different and unique. And people want to know about like different and unique things. And so what you want to do is once you have a content strategy, just use Slay to write out those posts, right? So if you go back to our content strategy here, what was to write let's say build in public post. I would say, hey, I'm gonna cancel all of like free trials on Engyne, and then that would be my personal story. Second one is L, which is lesson. The reason why I think so is because I'm getting a lot of people that are like trying out the app but like not using. That's a lesson I learned because I'm seeing this in my analytics. Advice is, I would say, if you're a B2C company that hasn't raised money, then like you need to make money off the bat, and you know, let, if you're in that boat, the advice is just like turn off the free trial and make it paid from day one, and like go to Stripe, click this button, click that button, click that button. That's your lesson. Your CTA is like, is it something that you've done for your product? If so, I would love to like know your thoughts. Right. What we just done is created a building public post using this format, and the way I said it is the way I would write it, and just like go about my day. Um, yeah. So write using Slate. That's the format to use. By the way, if you use Engine, like Engine already like does this, so like it will ask you questions to like get these insights out of you and then make a post out of that. So like it doesn't even, you don't even need to think about it. It will automatically combine the transcript or the thoughts that you have into a post like this from the get-go. So the big no-nos, I feel like a lot of posts that I see. Yeah, can you speak more about to the CTA here? So CTA is like if you're selling a product, like it'd be a CTA to your product, for example. Um, so you could do that, or the CTA could be a little bit more soft and say, "Hey, like, have you done this? If you have, what was your experience?" Like that's an easy ask that you can do. You can also sometimes completely skip CTA if you don't want to, but it's a good way to like just conclude the whole point that you made and just reiterate it at the bottom. That's the way I would think about it. If you have a business, then you would just do, hey, I run this kind of business, and if you need help, like come talk to me or like send me a follow request. So image posts on LinkedIn get a lot of reach. The simply reason is because if you go on Instagram, like you're so used to seeing people's pictures and you want to see people's pictures. But a lot of people, what they do is they'll use AI images to fill up that requirement of like having an image in a post. Don't It doesn't work and nobody wants to see it, and it's like so obvious from the get go that it's an AI image. I would just like completely remove that and like not do that. Instead, either have a screenshot of like whatever you're talking about, or use a selfie. Like you doing whatever, like it might sound cringe. It's actually not. It's just like a picture of you being like, hey, because that way the message, the valuable message that you have gets tied to your face. So when I see you in public, I remember that. And I've done this with a lot of people where I've seen like a valuable thing that they posted, and I remember their face as well because like profile photo is super small, but if I see you multiple times in multiple situations, I can recall you much easier. And that all goes back to our identity. Like if you want to be a specific kind of have a specific kind of identity, you have to make people remember that, and the only way to make them remember that is one, post valuable content often. Number two is show yourself, show your face. This is where like the short form video is so powerful as well, because right now on the call you see me like talking, but if you were just like following me on LinkedIn and just like seeing my text posts, you might not know how I behave and if you would want to work with me or not. Don't use hashtags. It used to be a thing a couple of years ago with natural language processing that without hashtags, LinkedIn wouldn't know what your post was about. But all that is like old news now. Now hashtags are more of a remnant from ChatGPT, because like every single like post that you will make will always add hashtags. Remove those immediately. The last one, and this is a big one, is don't use any emojis. Like literally any. I guess you can use it for like the bullet points that you have. You can like the check marks or something like that. But rockets, the swish thing, any of those things, any of the above, do not use emojis. If you're in doubt about emojis, just don't use them. It just like so text formatting. Text formatting is like we'll do another session on that. But like my little advice there is just have like paragraphs with like 3 sentences. Don't do more than that. If you can do like one line per sentence, that's like the best way to like read it. But if you can't do that, some people find that it's a little bit too much of a LinkedIn speak. 3 sentences max in a paragraph like works well. So do it that way. And Matt just like put up an emoji and put it on stream. So yeah, text formatting. We'll have a full session on that, on like how I recommend doing that. But um, typically like one sentence, one line per sentence, or paragraphs with like max 3 sentences. That's like the easiest way to do it. And then the other thing is don't use any like complicated words either. Just like make it super easy for people to learn. And but the thing is like the formatting goes secondary to value. If it's valuable enough, I'll read whatever format it is in. But if there's no value, it doesn't matter what structure you have, you'll never get people to read it, right? So I always try to go extreme value first. Yeah, this might sound like a lot because there's a lot of moving parts, but the idea is to be able to. So I'm just giving you the things that work for me. Take them, implement them, and like switch out one thing for another. So if the backstory doesn't work for you, switch out the backstory that you have with another one, and just like keep trying it out and repeat it. If you meet people at an event, repeat that backstory. If you have a Medium account, put it on there. If you have a Beehive account, put it on there. If you have like an email signature, put it at the bottom. You know who you are, your backstory. That's the fastest way for like a lot more people to understand who you are and like what you stand for. I've done that in the past as well. So if you want to work with me, it's a lot of work. I'm doing personalized one-on-one strategy sessions. So what you get with that is obviously the Engyne software, and I'll show you what that looks like. Or I can just show you right now. So give me 1 second here. So this is Engyne. Basically, all of the stuff that I mentioned to you during the call is all implemented in this tool. So if you just come in and start working with it, you'll be able to build a personal brand without knowing all the little like bits and bobs that I talked about. So the thing with Engyne is you can just come in and start a new interview and you say, I want to talk about how generalist are better than specialists. So that's what I want to talk about. And what it does is it's an AI interview. So it will ask me questions in a way where it will ask me like a why question. Because if you ask why 5 times, that's where the real nuggets are. And that's actually what your audience should hear from you. When we use ChatGPT and all these other kind of tools, we're just like going one level deeper. You actually need to go 5 level deeper. So that's where the value is. So thing, you put your microphone on, and I don't know if the audio is going to come through. So it just asked me the question, and then I can like record and answer this. So yeah, I think like being a journalist has made me a much better founder. People that are specialists, especially specialist developers, they have no idea how to market a solution. They only know how to like build a product, which I was like that, you know, all of my career, the last 4 or 5 years, I was a developer. But I think like more and more in the new world where AI can do a lot more things, you need to be a generalist because you can have an AI agent that is marketing for you, AI agent that is coding for you, but you need to know a little bit of everything so you can prompt it the right way. So I just recorded the answer, and I'm gonna do this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times, and it'll give me a large like a conversation. So it asked me like another question afterwards that is going a little bit deeper into what I believe in specifically. And so it's gonna keep going deeper and deeper. And once I'm done here, I'm gonna show you what the end result looks like. I'll get, so this is a interview that I did before. So from that interview, 4 posts came out here, and you can see like the way these posts are written, it's supposed to be given value from the get-go. So the questions are asking you, the questions are being asked in a way that extracts a value out of you, and then this post structure is structured in a way where we take the value and then put it into a post. So you don't have to do any of the thinking of like, hey, what should my strategy, what should my text formatting looks like, or how should I structure this? It's already done for you. So you come in here, the posts are ready, and then you can like this one, for example, like I can publish it, or I can schedule it on my LinkedIn for another day as well. The idea with this is every Monday morning you'll come in, do like a 15-minute talk, and then you'll have content for the rest of the week that's really, really valuable. So instead of like spending hours, you just do this.